Today we're gonna have a look at the RSL games that Serral recently played. These are the most recent matches that Serral has played on the brand new balance patch, now that he's had a little bit of time to, well, let it cook. That being said, of course, the first event that Serral entered was Home Story Cup, and he ended up winning it. He looked ridiculously strong. His opponent in this particular best of three, the first best of three of the day, playing with the red SCVs, we have none other than ByuN. It's gonna be nice to get an update as well as to where ByuN is currently at, because I haven't seen him play in a little bit. Sadly for him, I guess this is a bit of a bad draw, right? Sadly for him, he has to go up against the world champion of StarCraft 2, and really, the man that needs to be beat if you want to be playing at the absolute highest level. Serral has just been demolishing everybody. He was doing this pre-patch, but now past-patch, or post-patch, I guess would be a better way to word it. As he's speeding up the one mining right there on the drone. Look at the specific drone micro. Yeah, getting them to move a little bit quicker. Anyways, especially now on the new patch, Zerg's early game and mid game just seems to be a little bit smoother across the board. And obviously in the absolute late game, because Terrans tend to run out of gas now because of the Vespian gas reduction on every single base. I mean, you end up in a position where Zerg is definitely stronger against Terran than they used to be. And Serral was already not losing this matchup. The problem, I think, as we have a command center first right here for ByuN versus a pool first. The problem right here, of course, is that a lot of other Zergs out there were basically unable to take down the absolute top dog Terrans. So after many years of Zerg getting nerfed, primarily actually, I would say because of Serral, this is, I mean, an interesting thought process, I suppose, but basically since about 2018, there's been one Zerg player that's been winning everything, and his name is Serral, and they've been nerfing Zerg repeatedly, but the man is still winning. Now with the most recent patch, we certainly had a little bit of a buff as Zerg players, and obviously Serral is still looking strong. Now, this is a 4-player map that we're starting off on, so a pool first is quite interesting. We have, of course, seen some cheeses in the middle of the map. So on Fear and Faith, you can go ahead and build up a bunch of proxies right over here. I like to build them right over here, so you're, you know, in line with the beautiful marine statue right over here in the middle. Zerglings, though, are going to be checking that out, I think, here in just a second. We saw Clem famously do this not too long ago with a very spicy cheese. Alright, well, this time around, nothing going on here. So we have one Overlord moving to the left, one Overlord moving to the bottom, and then one, well, group of Zerglings trying to scout the diagonal. So, it's going to be a horizontal spawn. ByuN, indeed, going for the CC first, is going to be able to get away with that easily. Getting the double command center upgrade here is a pretty big deal, because 2 mules right at the same time can really kickstart your early game economy. We should have been running that SCV already, though. I'm a little bit surprised. I guess he hasn't scouted out on the map yet, so he doesn't know about the fact, yeah, that this is indeed a pool first here from the finisher. Will the SCV live? Place your bets! Oh, God. Okay. Well, you know what? I thought it was going to die. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think it was going to be able to somehow, some way skirt around. And look at that, man. It immediately got promoted. It is now allowed to build the 3rd command center as well. Super greedy start right here for ByuN, who, of course, historically has been one of the very best Terran players from Korea. Maybe overshadowed by the likes of, for example, Maru. But that's just because Maru hasn't really lost anything. Gonna be a pretty quick lair here, actually, for Serral. So, quick lair, quick Roach Warren, 2-base opener. This matchup really is quite interesting, right? So, since Home Story Cup, strategies have become quite a bit more refined already. Even though it's really not been that long, it's been like a week. Players are obviously putting in a lot of work right now, and they're trying their absolute best to figure out how you're supposed to play this. Normally, in this matchup, it is the Terran who's aggressive. It's the Terran who's trying to keep the Zerg economy down. With this type of setup, though, with a pool first into a delayed hatchery, quick lair, quick Roach Warren, delayed 3rd, especially going up against the quick triple CC opener, the tables have turned. Now it's going to be the Zerg player who somehow, some way needs to figure out how to keep this Terran army small, potentially even kill some economy. I think it's probably fine if Serral just holds down the worker button. That's, of course, one of the things here to keep in mind. You do have to cut a little bit of economy as well to be able to go for such a quick 3rd CC. And obviously the larva mechanic, well, it is going to allow Zerg to catch up pretty rapidly as far as the amount of workers goes, but ByuN should have a pretty nice start. My main question is, how many Because we do have a faked out cloaking upgrade here. Overseer Scout going in. It's not going to be Banshee cloaking. Okay. Alright, he's respecting it. How many roaches do we produce? At this point, it's just going to be the 3 of them. 3 roaches plus 1 armor. This upgrade is now 50 minerals and 50 gas cheaper. Pretty big deal. And then straight back to droning. Okay, so this is a weird build, right? So this is Serral basically... How do I word this? This is Serral basically saying, yo, I am so much better than you. At least that's how this at least sounds to me. I'm so much better than you that I'm not gonna really respect your greed in the early game. I'm not even gonna try and punish it. I will just be 100% safe against anything that you throw at me, and I will be able to catch up later on in the game. He didn't get Zergling speed, so I guess if you wanted to be super safe, you would be getting that upgrade. But this is a 2-base opener for Zerg into a very delayed 3rd. And now we finally really start, well, making a lot of workers. Although Serral here, look at that. Hits a supply block. Infestation pit on the back of this. Double upgrades here as well for Bunny. We're going to be expanding apparently in the direction here of the Zerg. Not too bad. Scan in the main base will reveal that it's not an uber fast hive. I guess he really wants to see the infestation pit, but Scan did not reveal it. Roaches did manage to sneak through, actually. There is a Banshee out up in the air. We do have a siege tank trying its absolute best as well. So far, the losses have been minimized. I don't think the tank is going to die. Maybe? It's going to be close. No, I think it's okay. Yep. So that's actually a pretty failed attack by Serral. A lot of lost mining time, of course, but that's really not that big of a deal for Terran. But look at the worker count right now. We have 75 drones versus 50 SCVs. Mules are, of course, really good. But this is when Serral's economy now finally takes a, well, I guess a nosedive if you're watching this from the perspective of the Terran. Hive coming up. Baneling Nest coming up. Second Evo Chamber available too. Bunny needs to make sure that he starts doing something, though, because I really don't believe that the absolute best thing he can do is just sort of sit here and let the Zerg player do whatever. Because even though this has been a very cautious opener by Serral and really not, yeah, one where he's trying to be too aggressive here early, there's a lot of potential for Zerg to be, for example, rushing up to Mutalisks or quick Nidus Worms, even Roach all-ins are back in the meta again. And this type of build does certainly leave you very vulnerable as a Terran to those types of pushes. We got away with the greed here early on, Bunny. Now we got to try and capitalize on it. Well, I guess we're just going to go into the armory and get the 2-2 research going. Not going to be able to achieve too much over here, though. There's one fake Marine to maybe take up the final slot inside of that medevac. There is currently a bug in the game that allows you to pick up sieged up tanks. Of course, not allowed to be used in competitive play. At the very least, I would imagine that is something that the RSL is going to be, very upset about if you do end up, well, moving that into the match. Turns out you can indeed pick up a sieged up tank if you hit the button just at the perfect time, right when the siege tank is transforming. I'm assuming that will be hotfixed by Blizzard, right? Surely it will be hotfixed by Blizzard soon. Right? Alright, Metabolic Boost coming up. Pretty passive game, actually, here. I'm a bit surprised, I'll be honest. I really thought that Bunny... Yeah. I thought Bunny was cutting corners early on to be as greedy as possible so he could go for some sort of timing attack that would hit harder than it would have if you go for the more conventional barracks into command center, 1-1-1, third CC, and all the rest of it. Bunny cut so many corners early on, got away with all of it, and then is not really capitalized on it. Like, he's basically just letting Zerg do whatever. I think a really greedy build, like the one that he started off with in this game, and then into like an all-out Aether-X, especially in these spawn locations, would hit like an absolute truck. He would have already been across the map a while ago, before the Vipers would have been out. I think there was real potential there, but apparently Bunny has decided that in this first game of the best of 3, he's just gonna let Serral do whatever he likes. 5th base coming up because of it. Creep spread is looking quite decent, but honestly not perfect. But here's going to be the first big fight between these two players. Keep in mind, you can now abduct sieged up tanks again. Are we sleeping? Are we sleeping, Bunny? Blinding clouds are going to be massive. Wait a second. This entire Terran army is stuck. What? That is the worst engagement you could have possibly taken. Absolutely atrocious here. Serral thought it was bait for a little bit. Did you see him hesitate? It's like, wait a second. Well, if you're going to sit over there and siege up. I guess Bunny wasn't paying attention. He saw the Zerg army on maybe the mini-map, and he decided to just panic and siege up the tanks. But that was horrible. You're not allowed to make mistakes like that against the absolute best Zerg player on the planet. GG immediately gets forced. Game number 2. We find ourselves on the map Ruby Rock. So we spent all that time building up, only for Bunny to just get wiped off the map. I guess that explains why Serral decided to play it so cautiously. No need to take any risks if you can just, well, destroy him a little bit later on in the game. A little bit disappointed there, though, by Bunny, honestly. Like, I think I've seen Bunny play some absolute world-class Terran in the past. It's not like he was playing poorly, but it just seemed a little bit uninspired. Going to many StarCraft tournaments over the years, I have heard this similar sentiment quite a bit, where, so the RSL uses the GSL type groups, right? So in the first part of the event, in the first stage of the tournament, after players are qualified, everybody gets put into 4-man groups. So you know who else is going to be in this group, and basically it is all up to 2 players that move on out of said group. So you get the 2 matches of the 2 players going up against each other, or so you have 1v1 and then another 1v1, and then the 2 winners face off against each other, the losers face off against each other, and then the winner of the losers match goes up against the losers of the winners match, and that particular series determines, are you still paying attention? That particular series determines who moves on in second place. Anyways, long story short, the common sentiment is that whenever you see that Serral is in your group, you just sort of assume you're gonna lose. I've seen this so many times. So there are more brutal formats, like for example at Home Story Cup last week, where it's 6-man groups and only 2 players move on. And effectively everybody in Serral's group is just hunting for second place. And this is not just me being a jerk about it, this is the players themselves essentially already assuming they're going to be losing against Serral anyways, and it's almost like this hopeless thing, right? Where maybe Bunny's like, yo, I'm not even gonna try and show my good builds. I have been practicing some spicy builds or strategies or whatever, but I'm not gonna bother using them against Serral because I'm gonna lose anyways. It's this weird defeatist attitude that I've never noticed with any other player ever. Usually everybody's like, well, at least there's a chance, right? You never really truly know. A very interesting aura. There have been some very dominant players as well in the past, but it's never really been quite the same, where people are like, yo, there's just no point. Like, they're gonna be first place in the group no matter what. So if my goal is getting second, why would I use my good builds against the player who's gonna be in first? And there is some logic behind that, of course. Like, it does make sense. But it does seem a little bit crazy. A little bit loco. Yeah, I haven't really followed StarCraft 1 very closely, but I do know that people talk similarly about, for example, Flash. Okay, triple CC opener again here by Bunny. So, okay, let's put ourselves right in Bunny's shoes. What strategy do you pick? You know you're likely not gonna get messed with a whole lot early on. Serral's mindset usually going into a match like this is just to sort of relax and let you do your thing. Body blocked himself there for a second with a creep tumor, huh? What sort of strategy do you choose? Do you play the big macro game? I don't know. Do you decide to do some sort of early game cheese? Maybe? I don't really mind that idea all too much. I think the odds are probably bigger that you're going to win than if you were to go ahead. But just playing this like super passive, laid-back approach and then sieging up your tanks on a ramp. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. It's another Roach Warren build here, actually, by Serral. Okay. Huh. So when the patch was first out, we did see some Roach Warren experimentation, but most players were opting to go double Evo chamber and then quick into Baneling nests and upgrades and all the rest of it. Rather than going Roaches, we just saw Zergling Baneling armies, primarily. I guess this is the I'm not gonna die to anything stupid build. That's probably what this is. I think Serral's main concern is probably surviving. If he can draw the game out until like minute 15, he probably has a close to like 95% win rate or something. Like the only player he's really losing to at that point is somebody like, well, maybe Maru or Clem. I don't really know the exact numbers, right? But if I were to make a guess, past 15 minutes, probably like a 95% win rate. So let's just try to not die to anything stupid. We have some blind spore crawlers coming up again, although he did see some. He did notice that there was indeed a Liberator in production, so this time around the spore crawlers are positioned in such a way, at least the one in the natural and then also the main base, that they are going to be able to intercept the Liberator. Liberator's going to try and take the most complex route across the map, but Serral will still see. This is nice, though, right here by Bunny. Zerglings are waiting. Bunny a little bit hesitant. 4 drones is pretty good. Careful, though. You don't want to be losing the Hellions. You don't want to be losing the Hellions. You got to loop them up, man, before you leave the factory. Everybody knows that. Take a little dive in the Vaseline hot tub or something. Maybe that's what Terrans need. Maybe that's what the tech lab is for. I don't know. All right, we're going to go into 4 additional barracks now. So 5 Rexes here in total. This is a pretty greedy start yet again here for Bunny. I think you could go into an 8 Rex. So rather than spending the next 400 minerals on a 4th command center, I think you can plant down 3 additional barracks and just send it. Especially after an early game like this. I really don't mind the idea very much. Good creep denial over here as well. Very spicy scan. Zerglings are on creep, of course. Keeping the Hellions around is really nice, but not really that critical anymore. Okay, I think Bunny can be happy with this early game. The worker count, though, is not as good as it should have been, I don't think, here for Bunny. You know one stat I would really like to see? So we have the Zergling counterattack coming in. Should be plenty of Marines out, though, to push this away. I've been watching and playing quite a bit of Age of Empires 2 lately, and one of the most common stats that players will pay attention to is called idle TC time. AKA, how much idle time do you have on your town center? It would be kind of nice if we had, like, idle CC time. Sorry, let me just snoop on what's going on. Tech issue, it seems? Okay. It would be kind of nice if we could see, like, idle CC time, you know? Like, there are moments where you want to cut a worker, but have we been 100% on top of the production here as Terran? You see there's a couple seconds there missing on the command center? It's a very useful statistic to be able to compare, I think. I would imagine somebody like Clem, somebody like Maru again, very sharp as far as their idle CC time goes. I think the data is there. It just isn't displayed, right? That's one of the things that I have learned. Apparently, the StarCraft 2 replay files are actually kind of insane. So StarCraft 2 replay files are like 200, 300 kilobytes big on average. But apparently, they basically contain everything. The interface can basically just draw on everything, which is kind of crazy. And this happens to be the information that this particular mod maker has settled on. And this has become default. The most recent addition, of course, having the little indicator over here for the amount of minerals and gas that are coming in per minute. It's a pretty sweet little update, but I would like to see what the idle time is. Maybe it's a bit difficult though, right? Like you can show it for Protoss and for Terran, but not so much for Zerg because of the larva mechanic. Anyhow, Hive coming up right here for Serral. Baneling speed also coming up. And this really is the I don't want to die to stupid stuff build. Yeah, if you're a Zerg and you're thinking your late game is also better than your early and mid, well, maybe that's weird. You should probably work on that. But anyways, this is not a bad strategy to go for. No council on that hatchery, so that's a free kill there for Bunny. Bunny, by the way, opting to go for the 8 Rex. that I was suggesting earlier. This is not the sharpest 8 Rex in the world, though. Honestly, it feels kind of late. But this is definitely something that I like a bit better than what we saw just now on the previous map, with the 4th Command Center and all the rest of it. Obviously, Fear and Faith. The map that we were just on also is quite new. So, an 8 Rex on a map like this probably works out way better. So, we'll probably go out when this set of upgrades finishes up. This is going to be the big double upgrade push. There will once more be Blinding Clouds, Parasitic Bombs, and all the rest of it available. Vipers are gonna go in for the big suck. There it is. Adrenal Glands will be done. I don't think Serral knows, but he also hasn't seen a 4th Command Center, nor like a second factory in the front. Normally, second factory in the front is also indicative of there being a 4th Command Center soon after. So even though we're kind of skirmishing over this hatchery here in the bottom left, the real question is, okay, he does decide to now go into the 4th CC, but the real question is, how much damage can we do? We gotta move though, Bunny. We gotta go now. Yeah, go, 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 go. You don't want to give Zerg any more time. This is a good moment though. Adrenal Glands will be done by the time that these two fight. Same for the +2 Carapace. The creep spread, though, has been pushed back quite nicely. Do we have a couple scans available? I would hope so. Yep. This one should as well be available, but it's a little bit difficult to go in. Blinding Clouds yet again. Blinding Clouds yet again. Serral is swarming all over this. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. Oh, man. It's like a brick wall. Very strange. We're gonna try again. Second wave coming up through the middle of the map. Just trying to see if we can potentially snipe one of the Vipers. Now, I think one of the Vipers did end up going down. Being able to abduct siege tanks again, though, is a big deal. He doesn't want to have... Oh, we're gonna abduct him. Could abduct him, medevac. Serral doesn't want to waste the energy, I guess. He's smelling blood. Ultra Cavern on the back of this. Serral did read the patch notes, right? He knows he can abduct sieged up tanks again, right? They removed that ability about a half year ago, but now it's back. I guess, again, he's just thinking to himself, no reason to risk it. No reason to take any chances. I'm fine. Ultra Cavern. Spire. 3-3. Chitinous Plating. Blinding Cloud yet again on the siege tanks. Banelings rolling through. Roaches in the back. Couple corrosive balls as well. Good hold there for Bunny. But now we're approaching the late game. The Zerg economy is better. The upgrades here for Terran are still really nice, though. Soon we can even expect maybe a couple of infestors in the mix if he finds the gas for it. It would make this all a whole lot nicer. We're actually kind of at the stage 2. Don't suck the hatchery fully, bro! Stop it! Oh my god! He's gonna kill it! Nah, I think it's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna look away, man. I can't watch that. Okay, he pulled out. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We still have like a couple of nice attacks here for Terran. Obviously, you do now have the 4th Command Center. That's all good. But now you're dealing with like 8 base Zerg, right? So technically, Bunny can do whatever he likes. It's just that the opponent can do even more. Now Zerg is going in for some real attacks. It's, again, extremely conservative. Sending just enough. Planetary Fortress ends up going down. Blinding Cloud on the siege tanks yet again. Dude, Serral's being so nice. It's like he's playing against his grandma. It's like playing against his little brother. He's like, no, you can play macro. I'll let you macro, it's fine. Throw a couple of Banies in, sure. Guaranteed damage here. Maybe that will burn down, you never know. In the meantime, there's a lot more units reinforcing all of this, and now the Ultras are going to be nearly fully upgraded. Anabolic Synthesis is the movement speed upgrade for the Ultras. Banelings being split here to try and not hit any of the Marauders nor the Siege Tanks. Roaches are kind of wasted, of course. Roaches aren't particularly good. And Bunny is starting to carve a little bit of a path. Oh, we gotta now go, though, Bunny. Come on, we gotta strike while the iron is hot. While the Zerg is making Ultras, you can actually put in some work. He doesn't want to advance too quickly. He's trying to make sure that he can scan ahead as well, get rid of some of the creep tumors, maybe see any potential burrowed mains. The splits right here by Bunny are excellent. He doesn't have an Ultra counter yet, though. Like, the Liberator count is non-existent. There are 0 ghosts out as well. Banelings do now connect right over there at the bottom of that ramp. And ultimately, there's just not enough stuff. And that means we move on to the winner's match of the group stage of the RSL. We're in the bottom right-hand corner. We once more have Serral. This time around, his opponent, joined by the Rebellion icon. We're looking inside of the main base of ByuN. Well, Serral made it look very easy against Bunny. Notice a little bit of drone micro, by the way. So there's some cute little tricks that you can do to make the drones kind of zoom back a little bit faster. You don't see a lot of players really utilize it. But sometimes you'll notice it's almost like the Mario Kart little speed things on the road, you know, that make you speed up for just a moment. Serral's going to be stacking the drones now that he's got every single mineral field saturated. This map is actually kind of weird. So we're on the Old Sun Temple. Normally, on all StarCraft maps, you have 4 close-by mineral fields. So like, for example, these two. And this one over here as well at the bottom. And then 4 further away ones. And usually players will prioritize double stacking on the close-by mineral fields first. For some reason, I don't know why, the Old Sun Temple only has 3 close-by mineral fields. Why? I guess this one, I don't know. Yeah, this one's forward, that one's forward. Maybe the middle one is ever so slightly forward? I don't know. It doesn't really matter that much. You'll end up with ever so slightly less economy. Either way, once more, even though it's a 4-player map, we're going to see a pool first. And once more, it's going to be a command center first on the other side of the map. So, very similar start here as what we saw in game number 1 of the previous best of 3. Curious to see, though, if ByuN will follow it up in any other way, right? So ByuN, of course, a previous world champion of StarCraft 2. Winning it, I believe, in 2016. Serral winning the World Cup back in 2018 and then also in 2025. The current reigning world champ. Double barracks inside of the main base here for ByuN. No surprise there, right? Like, we've seen some Terran players mess around with some mech. Hero Marine, for example, was doing it some at Hope Story Cup again. He didn't execute it against the highest ranked Zergs. Or, sorry, the lower end Zergs in his group at the time. But he did do it against the better Zerg players in his group. And didn't really work out all too well for what it's worth. But it seemed that he had been experimenting with some mech strategies. ByuN, though, feels very out of character for him. ByuN, not really a mech man. What are you waiting for, a little SCV? What are we gonna build? We're just patrolling? Serral is wondering as well. What are you gonna build? Okay, we could have built this barracks a while ago. I guess he was preoccupied with the Zerglings. Small delay there, but not a big deal. Double mule on the main base, though, is pretty sweet. It's now gonna boost ByuN's economy quite nicely. So you can see the income advantage. Bam. This is the mules bringing in the good old resources. That should be the case for the foreseeable future. Now, what is Serral's approach gonna be this time around? Again, extremely conservative. Why would Brenda put it all the way over there when she could put it on the edge? He does know that the Marines are not on the other side, so that's honestly just straight up a misplay. Either that, or he wants to make sure that he doesn't accidentally block his own wall off. That could be. Super quick lair here. Now, with a lair like this, no Roach War, no Evo Chamber, no third base. It screams Mutalisks to me. A pretty greedy Muta build. Yeah. So he's taking all gases all at the same time, right after the full saturation on the minerals in both bases. All gases taken, and then Baneling Nest. So we'll probably have a third hatchery in just a little bit, when minerals allow. But for now, it's very likely going to be a quick Spire. And I don't really think this is a bad idea, especially in a cross-spawn location. It is really, really nice for Zerg. And actually, in general, on this map, four-player map, of course. The horizontal spawn location pretty much always favors Terran. Cross-spawn, though, is really nice for Zerg. Because there's just a lot of distance, right? There's just a lot of distance to cover. So fast-moving units will generally shine on a map like this. So Serral rushing up towards the Spire. Baneling speed is going to be available momentarily, and third hatch indeed is coming up. I'm assuming Evo chambers will go down right over here in the natural in just a moment, but for now, we're going to see a burst of Mutalisks. And it will be the first real skill check here for ByuN. There's a couple Marines going around, fair enough. He does snipe one of the Zerglings there. One of the Marines ends up going down as well, but this will be in just a moment. What? What is... No. Huh? This makes no sense. Oh, he's just gonna die, dude. Serral sees it. All he needs to do is get Banelings, no? I mean, he's been saving up a load of gas. Baneling speed is gonna be done in just a moment. What on earth is ByuN thinking with this attack? I've seen this work in Terran versus Protoss, but Centrifugal Hooks is done. Oh my god, Serral's just gonna demolish this. Look away, Terran players. Look away, Terran players! What in the world was that? In what situation would that ever work? Even a roach opener would be really good against that. Even slow banelings would have been excellent. I guess the situation where Zerg decides to go straight lair and then not go Baneling Nest or Roach Warren? I mean, those build orders exist, but they're very out of character for Serral. That doesn't make any sense at all. Especially in a cross-spawn location. Right, so ByuN, I think he was probably putting Serral on Mutalisks. He didn't really get a whole lot of scouting done, right? Because of the CC first. He's gonna go Command Center first again. Okay. ByuN's playing with fire. And I don't like it. Pool first yet again for Serral. Who's probably... you never look a gift game in the mouth, right? If your opponent happens to wander around with a bunch of Marines and your Banelings... You don't look a gift game. If your opponent disconnects 3 minutes into the game because their internet... Perfect. You never look a gift game in the mouth. But Serral's got to be wondering as well. What in the world that match just was. The weird thing is, right, and what's really throwing me off is that ByuN committed to pulling half his workers. The thing is, pulling half your workers is kind of the same as pulling all your workers, because if it doesn't work, you're dead. So shouldn't you increase the probability of it working by pulling more SCVs? If you want to continuously be able to rally units across the map and kind of have like an extended all-in, maybe leaving a certain number of SCVs in the main base would make sense? But mules already make up for a lot of the potential mining there if you're going to cut worker production anyways. So, that game just didn't really make a lot of sense. Like, I was actually a little speechless there for just a moment. When I saw the SCVs first move through, it didn't make any sense in my head. Because what in the world are you ever going to achieve? Like, best case scenario, you win the game straight up. Worst case scenario, you lose the game straight up. There is no middle ground. Maybe there's like a very small middle ground where the game kind of goes on for a while longer and you'd be rallying Marines all the way from the upper left towards the bottom right for several minutes. So you need some mining in the main base. But that kind of just seemed like ByuN was sending it for no apparent reason at all. It is really that aura, though, that Serral seems to have over the years now. That really didn't seem like a practice strategy to me. But ByuN thought, okay, this is what we need to do. This is how we apparently tried to shut this down. It did seem pretty dumb. Dude, if you go back to my earlier casts, if you go back, like, I don't know, I've been uploading videos for a long time. And for some reason, I know there's a video that is titled, "Who is this?" That's for some reason been picked up again by the YouTube algorithm. That's a video that got like 100 views 13 years ago, I think. And then recently it's got like 10,000 views again. I don't know what's going on there. Shout out to the YouTube algorithm for somehow, some way picking up and promoting the cringiest video that I've ever uploaded of myself ever. It's very difficult to watch for me personally. But anyways, maybe ByuN was just coming up with something, you know, and just decided to send it. I don't know. It's a bit weird. Doesn't make any sense to me. Lair, yet again, super quick. We should have a bailing nest, yet again as well. I think the best case scenario for ByuN with that previous game, and then I'm going to shut up about it, is he would have gotten across the map without a Roach Warren, without a bailing nest done. Now, that type of game happens maybe 1 in 10 matches, and against Serral, probably 1 in 50. Serral rarely skips both tech structures. Doesn't really make any sense. That's the best case scenario. Maybe there's got to be some other timing where Zerg doesn't see it, but there's so many different Overlord pillars, and the map is so long that even if Zerg is caught off guard, you can always equalize, right? Like an SCV pool by pulling your own workers too. So it just doesn't, I don't know. Nothing makes sense. That game really did seem very silly. Spire yet again, though. So Serral didn't get to show what he wanted to in the previous game. Now that we are at Eternity's Edge, he's doing it again. I do wonder if this video in 13 years from now is also going to be extremely cringy for me to watch. What do you guys think? Maybe it'll be difficult. Don't do it again, ByuN. don't do it, man. I know it may seem tempting. Ooh, what? Scan to kill the Overlord? Brother, no. That's pretty insane, actually. Like, a scan is basically the same energy cost as a mule, right? So a mule mines for a very hot amount of minerals. So you lose all of the potential mining time by using that scan. And it's not like you're hiding anything, because Serral has already seen your Marines. He's gonna have the watchtower, so he sees this push out anyways. Serral does decide to make a couple of safety bainies again, though, because he's wondering, yo, are you gonna pull the boys? Are you gonna send the SCV train across the map yet again? Evo? Or Evo? Depot? +1 carapace, +1 flyer attacks. And you know what? This time around, the Mutalisks are done. Let's see. The little flippy flappies will get into the main base momentarily. There is a missile turret done in both bases. Actually, there's 3 missile turrets. One of them in a pretty curious spot. Not one where we would normally see it. Okay. For now, the Mutas aren't really doing much. But one thing they are achieving just by being out is map control. So ByuN not really wanting to go and do a move out right now with, say, for example, a medevac drop. A lot of Terrans will still mix it in, but it's risky. If you send out 2 full medevacs right now, the Mutas stumble upon them and you lose, well, like 20 supply worth of units. It is basically game over. So that's where the Mutas are really quite nice. And one thing you never know as a Terran, how many Mutas are there going to be? Is this going to be one of those games where Zerg makes like, I don't know, 10 of them? And then switches straight into a ground army? Or is it going to be mass Muta? You have to respect these units and basically play against them as if it's always going to be mass Muta. Gonna maybe consider making a Widowmine switch up, or potentially go into like a Thor even, if you're really feeling like you need to deal with this soon. 2-2 coming up though for ByuN, which I really do like. 4th hatchery is gonna be done in just a moment, so we'll probably see some more droning, but this is a pretty smooth game now for ByuN. 2nd factory is gonna be done in a moment. I'm assuming we'll see a 4th command center here momentarily. +1 armor for the flying units as well. +1 melee finally coming up. Serral actually delayed on the +2. There we go. All right, never mind. Sorry, Serral. It's like you hurt me. I'm casting this from replay because these games were played a few days ago, but apparently he hurt me in the past. What can't this man do? It's incredible. No Overseer in the mix. That's -1 Muta, -1 Widowmine. We are getting to the point, though, where Mutas can actually start taking on a missile turret. Yeah. Not a big deal. When you can start two-shotting them, it is a pretty good setup. And again, this is going to force a lot of the Terran units to move back. Not all of them, though, because a pretty big chunk of them are currently standing on a creep. Supply depot has not been repaired, and Serral's just going for some free pickoffs. Oh, free medevac. You never look a gift medevac in the mouth. Just like gift games. Couple Widowmines. Again. You don't look them in the mouth. Drilling clause is going to be pretty sweet, though. Supply block right now for ByuN because he lost that supply depot group. Pretty frustrating. No hive yet here, though, for Serral. So he's actually just decided to go pure Mutiling Bane on Lair. This doesn't even really seem like that great of a build, if I'm being honest with you. Because now he's going to run into an upgrade problem. If he doesn't go Infestation Pit soon, he's going to sort of be stuck. Two options. Either you start up an Infestation Pit and go Hive. Play it from an upgrade deficit. Option 2, you send it. Economy is kind of lackluster. Upgrades are decent, but not amazing. Serral needs to start doing something, because ByuN is going to start pulling ahead real quick. By the way, ByuN did opt to go for a lot of command centers, but not until after the 8 racks. He's been doing a great job, though, defending against the Mutalisk so far. Even though he did have a couple of, maybe sloppy losses. The Terran army is just absolutely massive. Serral will have seen the timing right now of all of these additional add-ons. So, the command center and then also the extra barracks. ByuN is fully maxed. He's going to start getting a bit of a bank going now. But here we go. This is a lot of dudes. Men with gun, really good. What do you do against the men with guns? Especially when they are microed by probably the best micro Terran on the planet. At least on a good day. Banelings are obviously the answer. Fungal growth could be a good alternative as well. But Serral is only just now going Hive. Oh. Kind of messy here. Still some big detonations, though. The Widowmines are nice. Looks like the Mutas have gone after that medevac that was still running around. 3-3 coming up in the meantime. This is good. This is real good for ByuN. Gets a few Mutas for free. Bit of a Baneling attempt as well on the other side of the map, but ByuN also deflecting that. Command center here at the bottom. Okay. 3-3 is going to be a huge upgrade. Oh, my lord. I'm actually going to back up for just a moment, because were there already... Were there already burrowed Banelings before that fight took place? Did Serral just hurt his opponent in that direction? He could have had it here, but he decided that's not what he was going for. He was going for all of it. Crazy a detonation, getting so much value out of just 2 Banes. Serral even hacking now. Look at that. Going 201 supply. Wow. Blizzard? Hello? Okay, this is going to force ByuN to maybe slow down a little bit. Getting the 3-3 upgrades, though, will still be massive. But ByuN has decided to slow things down. He's decided to maybe have a look at Nova. Obviously, he's going to move his screen here as well as for himself. He's going to try and look at Nova for a little bit longer and lean into the command centers. Terran Eco right now is excellent. Terran upgrades are really good. Terran infrastructure is good as well. In the meantime, Zerg has decent economy, but it's only 76 workers, which is really not that much. The creep spread is extremely lackluster. The tech is all very late. Mutant numbers are big, though. So Serral playing from a deficit, but only a slight one. Not enough over here for the Terran to keep these missile turrets alive. Still, though, they did buy a bunch of time, forcing actually the entirety of the Terran army to go back. This is really the time for ByuN to shine, though, because he's got 3-3 done against the Zerg, who does not have 3-3 and who does not have Adrenal Glands. These upgrades are huge. No Ultra Cavern done yet either. ByuN wants to be, and honestly needs to be, on the other side of the map right now. Alternative choice is to basically let Zerg do whatever you want and get the huge command center count. Yeah, you could go up to like 12 orbital commands here as the Terran, but that is gonna really close that window. A couple Widow Mines will be detonated again, I'm assuming. Banelings actually decide to burrow. I thought he was gonna run them in initially, but this is a good attack. I like this push here for ByuN. Not a lot of Banelings currently at home. Nice splits here as well. He's gonna be able to get the forward hatchery tonight for sure. Serral's playing with fire. He doesn't know exactly where all of the Widow Mines are. New command centers, though, over here. Very costly. Does get the money back, at least for some of it. Some pretty decent detonations, of course, too. Fight over here has been going well. We should really have been committing to the next expansion as well, but apparently in the meantime, ByuN is in a world of trouble here. Yeah, that Baneling detonation over in that side of the third is absolutely massive. Yo, Serral just killed an army over here and then 3 command centers. We lost so many SCVs here as well. This was just pressure. This wasn't even really a big chunk of the Zerg army. Just a few units, really, that he had on the other side of the map testing the waters. And this is now buying so much time. Adrenal Glands now is done. Chitinous Plating is not going to be too far behind either. The upgrade advantage is closing. And at this point, Serral has secured an eco lead. ByuN's now sitting on, yeah, just 4 orbitals and then a new CC over here. But this base is running out. Man, that fight was so good for Zerg. I'm surprised with how good it was. One hatchery was killed over here, but then the army just sort of stood around in this spot. I think this base could have certainly fallen as well. ByuN, though, finding himself forced to multitask maybe a little bit more than he wanted to. Maybe we can do a little bit of first-person view. This is what ByuN is looking at whilst playing the game. Terran always in the dark, using the new load hotkey. It's pretty nice. Look at the bottom left-hand corner, though. Yep, Banelings get spotted just barely in the nick of time, but that will be another command center down the drain. So many SCVs are falling as well. He needs to micro here against Banes, too. And that's one of the really difficult things here as a Terran player. Actually, the CC lives magically. That's one of the difficult things here as a Terran player. If you just run forward and you don't scan ahead of your army, you might just accidentally stumble onto a bunch of burrowed Banes. Right now, the map is dark and full of Zerg. Let's switch on over to the Terran, or from the Terran's point of view to the Zerg's point of view. It's a little bit more frantic. You can see that the APM is a little bit higher here, too. Serral trying to go and get the wraparounds here, trying to detonate as many of those Widow Mines ahead of time. Does get another Widow Mine detonation over at the Planetary Fortress down south. Takes care of all of the Thors. Now the Ultra transition is coming. He unburrows the Banes from the right side of the map and goes and sends them over to that mineral line. And even though things were going reasonably well there for a while, it is going to be another 2-0 win for Serral. I think this last game was by far the hardest for him. But I can't help but think that that is also due to the fact that he decided to play a very long lair mid-game. There's a reason why usually Zerg players kind of, linger on mid-game for a little bit, but skip to it, to that late-game army pretty fast. Because Adrenal Glands especially, that's the Zergling attack speed improvement, is just so pivotal. It's just such a critical upgrade to have later into the game. So, bit of a, risky chance maybe for Serral, but then again, he was already leading the series 1-0. If you're ever going to take a shot, right? If you're ever going to maybe cut a corner, it makes sense to do so while you're already 1-0 up. Either way, it is going to be a double 2-0 right there for Serral, which means that he moves on to the playoffs.